come here later. So let me just make sure that this is muted. Again, if you have any question, you can either unmute yourself or you can use a chat. Also, if you're not comfortable just speaking like that, I will be checking the chat. I will be sharing links. I will be sharing all the LinkedIns of every single person who will be talking. So please feel free to really take advantage of this night. So let me start my part. I know that most of you guys are either alumni or current students. So I know that everybody here knows about Le Wagon, but for the one who don't know about it, I have a little presentation for you. So for the one who don't know, Le Wagon is the best coding bootcamp in the whole world for the last 5 years because of its methodology, because of the amazing teachers, because of the amazing team we have. And also we have the biggest alumni community for any bootcamp, any school, teaching programming. We have 37 cities all around the world. And the great thing about Le Wagon is that once you belong to a city like Rio, São Paulo, Belo Horizonte, you belong to any city of the world, any Le Wagon city. So you can go to Tokyo, you can go to Lisbon, you can go to Montreal and ask to benefit from their hiring partners. You can go to their events, have a network, contact people, and they will help you. And just like you can see today, like a lot of people came to share their experience and to help current students and future students to find their way. It's a community that really is strong, help each other out. I never had an alumni who never answered my messages or for help or asking for an event, anything. Like everybody is super nice, trying to help. And really that's the best community I've ever met in my career. So you're very lucky to be a part of it if you're a student, and you will be very lucky to be a part of it if you will be a student. So we have the next program starting in October, both for web development and data science. The full-time program is from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and it's very intense, so be prepared. And the part-time program is starting in January and June. And these are the dates for, the dates are different based on the city, whether it's São Paulo or Belo Horizonte or Rio, and the language too. In Rio, we are fully in English, and São Paulo, Belo Horizonte is in Portuguese. So please get in touch with the city you'd like to. I will be sharing with you guys a few links and contacts if you need it. And something I'd like to mention also, this week we are launching Who Code the World Girls, an opportunity. It's free. It's online, it's just for women, and it's just made by Le Wagon women. So I'm on the management team. All your teachers will be women. So if you don't feel comfortable in this nerdy, geeky world with guys, please join us. We'll be coding together a whole afternoon for 2 Saturdays. It will be very fun. Let me share my precise screen for that. Dun, 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 where is it? Where are you? Little screen here. So I will share with you the link. It's 2 Saturdays and you're learning about Ruby. It's a programming language we teach here at Le Wagon, and APIs. And you'll be actually developing a little project, a little back-end language project in just these 2 days. It will be really cool. And it's for beginners, okay? Even if you don't have any knowledge, it's okay. You are very welcome. We'll be here to help you. And yeah, I will send this link. And also, next week, we have also a really cool data analytics workshop. It's for free, it's online, it will be at 2 p.m. next Tuesday. If you'd like to test your abilities with data and Python, please do it. And if you have any question, we'll be here to help you. I will be sharing this link, or you can access it right now. It's called Quick Links, and I will be sharing here all the links that are important in this event. So here you can see all the students who will be talking. You can access their LinkedIn by clicking on their name. Here you can access the page to sign up to Who Codes the World Girls. If you'd like to join us, you can see the next events. You can have the contacts of every single city. So everything is here, and I will be sharing it on the chat or here as well. It's called Italy Quick Links LW. And that's it for me. Let's move on to the alumni now. I will be asking all of them to introduce themselves, and I will give them 1 minute, just 1 minute per person. So guys, it's just like pitch night, okay? You remember pitch night when I was timing you like not more than 3 minutes? It will be the same, okay? So please tell us what you did before Le Wagon and what you're doing now. And like, yeah, anything you want in 1 minute. to talk to the world. And then we'll move on to questions. I already have a list of questions. I will be quizzing you guys on how you found your first job, how did you experience JavaScript week, anything like. And just to give you some perspective, so today in Rio, we're in JavaScript week. So the students are very tense, you can imagine. So please reassure them that yes, they will make it. They will survive this terrible week. In São Paulo, they're on Rails week. So it's a bit better, but still very challenging. So please be there for them. They need you, older brothers and sisters, to be supporting them. So let's go. Who'd like to go first? I see Raquel is smiling at me, so I will for her to start.
I can go first, yes.
Okay, 1 minute, pitch night.
Oh God, yeah, so good evening, everyone. I want to give a quick overview of my experience in the perspective of who wants or is changing careers after a long road in a non-tech role as I did. So I will start with the last point I discovered, which is to change careers, you have to practice humbleness. I don't know from which level of experience are you or was you in your job. I was a senior marketing analyst dealing with a lot of responsibilities in a very stressful environment. And since I started to work as a developer, I am feeling as the new intern in the company. So I think it's okay. It's totally understandable that senior developers don't have like the full time for you. You are like the not important as the priority for them to solve your problems. And so it's totally understandable. So practice humbleness and make this room for you to grow, make this room for you to learn and to make mistakes. So I think this is very important. And second thing, I would like to say that don't stop learning. So after Le Wagon, you won't find all the answers in Le Wagon lectures. So keep learning, keep studying, and also practice. So look for real projects, NGOs, friends or relatives that want a website or a project and work for free if they don't have money to pay you. And I think last thing would be try to not get discouraged by the closed doors that you have to face. So during the interview, I had to answer a lot of questions for this job that I am in now, and I failed. And they said I was not prepared to be a full stack developer. And although I want to cry in that at that moment, I answered that I would like to try to do the dev test anyways, because I was really interested in their opportunity. So don't be discouraged. Don't let people discourage you. So try to enroll yourself in a lot of opportunities and grow your probability to get a yes. And that's how I did. And I hope this illustrates a little bit my learnings as a new developer. So if you have any question, I'm here and free to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel. And just to remind them, what's your job today?
I am front-end developer at a startup in US. It's called Ordway. And I am working with Liquid templates, a Liquid language that is based on Ruby, and also with React. Right now, I received like a few weeks ago my first task in React. So I'm very, nice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We'll be coming back to you. Next, if he's available, I'd like to call Bruno Johnson. I know you have a date later tonight. Okay. Do you want to come later? Okay.
No, I can go now. Sorry,
okay,
I was eating something.
So what did you do before Le Wagon? What do you do now?
Hi guys, how are you? Good evening. I'm Bruno. Okay, good. I'm Bruno. Before I start Le Wagon, I was a PM. For those who don't know or think it's Polícia Militar, it's not. It's product manager. And I know many of you are or want to become full stack developer, but I bring a little, how can I say this? But I can bring this other view of what a full stack developer can do. I was struggling at my job because as a product manager, I was supposed to make decisions based on design and also based on development skills that I didn't have back in that time. So all my tech team that was made by developers and a tech lead want me to have those decisions, and I couldn't. So I found the Wagon, and I wanted to start my career as not a developer, but someone that knows about the development world and knows how to code and architecture and environment and all of these things that you are experiencing right now. So when I finished, I took a long time. It was difficult for me. I have a background in design, so it's a little bit different. But and when I finished Le Wagon, and I'm current working as a PM, the most important thing in my career that I take from Le Wagon is that now I can have good conversation with people that are coding the programs. And when I'm looking at my backlog and I'm prioritizing something, I always have both the design voice inside my head and the developer voice inside my head, and I can surely prioritize better, which is great. So if any of you are trying or want to become product manager or wants to know the journey to do, or I don't know, the skills you might have to found a job in product management, you can talk to me. I love to talk about this topic. And since I am a designer that is now a product manager, I think I can help you out with your struggle because I had to do by myself. And of course, I talk to many people and I share acknowledgement with those people. So that's the way to go. Did I
Thank you so much. I was muted.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Bruno. Just a reminder, guys, that again, you're going to meet a lot of different people tonight. So if you follow the quick links, bit.ly that I posted on the chat, you can have access to all their names and their job and their LinkedIn for you to follow who we're talking about. Next, I'd like to call, each time it's like, who is it going to be? Patrícia. Are you ready? No? Tell me.
Leave me for less. Leave me for less.
Okay. Then Steven. Steven was laughing, so I was like, you laugh. You're next.
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right.
From my badge, my classmates.
Yes. So before Le Wagon, I was an accountant. I got into a little bit of programming as an accountant, and I found that programming was a lot more fun than accounting. So I wanted a little adventure. I wanted to learn some more about programming, and I joined Le Wagon. And after the class, I leveraged the Slack channel, and there was a post in there with some group of freelancers who were working out of Berlin. They needed a back-end developer, and so I reached out to them, and they said, "Hey, come join us in Berlin to help build out this API." So that's what I did for 5 months in Berlin. And then while I was here, I looked for some other companies, and I got a position as a front-end developer. So for the past year, I've been working on the front end, mainly with everyone's favorite JavaScript. And next month, I'm headed back to the States to join a small startup as a full stack developer, now that I got a little bit of front and some back. And so that's my next adventure.
Awesome. Where in the US?
It's remote. I'll be in Washington, DC. Yeah.
Perfect. Super cool. So a great example again on how you can leverage the Le Wagon community to found your first job. Also really cool.
Yes.
Who wanna be next? Chase?
Yeah, I can go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, my name's Chase. Went to Le Wagon starting January, I guess. Before that, I was in advertising technology in New York. as an analyst in Excel. I'd always wanted to I always dabbled in programming a bit, and had a call with Melaine about joining the boot camp, and thought I really got my hopes up and did it. The first 2 weeks for me was very, very difficult, but once I surmounted the learning, I think I caught up with everyone pretty well. And then now I am a junior product manager at a translation company. And yeah, just really I'm still training, so I'm learning all the different things, but it's because I really had my mind set on development, graduating the boot camp. But now that I'm in a product manager role, I see the world from a different perspective. I mean, I work very, very closely with a daily basis, but also it's a little bit more of a business kind of role as well. So a couple things I'd say are the not necessarily all about learning Ruby and Ruby on Rails. It's really about learning how to problem solve and learning how to graduate the boot camp. You can continue to learn afterwards. Like I taught myself and more JavaScript and Python, as well as a couple Python frameworks after the boot camp. So definitely continue to work, continue to be dedicated, and learn how to use different languages. And a lot of companies, the front end is written in one language and the back end is in another, and it's not always the simplicity of Ruby on Rails. So it's good to learn real world stuff. Learn how to problem solve. In the case that you get whiteboarded in an interview, I think it's very important that you're able to know how to talk yourself through a problem. And also don't get discouraged, especially if you're in JavaScript, you're in a particularly difficult week in the boot camp. You may look at the problems that you're facing after you graduate. They'll almost be laughable because you'll be like, oh, I can solve that so easy. A real challenge now. So I would say, yeah, just stick with it. The boot camp was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Wouldn't be in the role I'm in today without it. It's a great experience.
Thank you, Chase. A great message for the students tackling JavaScript and Rails right now. Learn how to problem solve. So I think Tayler is next. Tayler from the US also.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Tayler.
My name is Tayler. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I was in Rio's batch, I don't remember the number, but last year.
298.
298, right, 298. It was last year. Also, one of the best decisions of my life as well. I worked in the film industry before. I was in it like an executive assistant, trying to be like a producer, director extraordinaire. It wasn't quite working out. So then I quit my job and moved to Rio and joined Le Wagon. And, at first, it was super hard. I did not think I was going to be able to get it. And then by the end, I really fell in love with it and decided that this is what I wanted to do with my career going forward, while still doing the creative projects that I want on the side. So after Le Wagon, I went on the job hunt, like everyone else. And I was able to, and my biggest advice for everyone else in the boot camp is to leverage your past experiences to get your next job. Because the company that I work for now, it's I had zero experience coding, but it's a media company. So they took my media background, knew that I learned how to code, and then brought me on as a junior front-end developer. And I'm mostly working in React, which is not something we learned in the boot camp, but I took the fast track course that Le Wagon provides online, which really helped me. And then, I learned the rest on the job. And that's, like everyone else says, you really have to figure it out as you go and be able to learn quickly, which is totally, I feel like Le Wagon really prepares you to do that anyway. So it's the best. And I miss it.
Oh, we miss you too. Come again when everything is over. Pandemic. Thank you so much. And again, a great message. And again, I'd like to highlight this again. The students that I've seen that are the most successful after Le Wagon are the ones who took their background, whether it's marketing, finance, art, law, I don't know, took their new skills, coding, project management, product management, creating a digital app, and then having a new job, having a new career, and making something out of it. A great message from Tayler. Who's next? Lucas Leal from Minas Gerais. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I was
working.
mute. So, so my name is Lucas, guys. I was on batch 230 in Rio. I graduated like in March 2019. And as Tayler said, I was the one, I had lots of trouble while doing the bootcamp. It was very hard for me because I had no, I'm a lawyer, I was a lawyer, and I had no technical background and everything. So struggle is normal, but everything went well. After the bootcamp, I started a job hunt like Tayler, like most of you, I don't know. And now I'm working at a fintech in Rio, working with C#. So it's completely different. It was like one good thing about Le Wagon is that you learn how to think in terms of coding, of programming, because for me it was not an option to work with Ruby after Le Wagon. I had to learn everything, not again, but learn a new language. And it's been very good. And during the pandemics now, I started working for, doing some freelance job work for an American company too. And it's good to see that the technology we use in Brazil here is not that different than I use in this other job I got. And well, it's been an amazing journey since I decided to leave law and start coding. So, and I'm a real fan of Le Wagon because it's changed my life.
Thank you, Lucas. As you can see, it's another student, former students now working for the US. The US loves Brazilian developers. They are cheaper, they are better, and they're in a similar time zone.
Yeah, that's I think the one of the good things about us here in Brazil is that is the time zone, because it's harder to, I don't know, hire someone from, I don't
India.
know, Asia, India or something. They surely have good professionals there, but the time zone here being more, I don't know, aligned with the US is a great advantage.
Thank you, Lucas. Patrícia, I think now it's your turn.
Okay. So good night. My name is Patrícia, also known as Pat, and I'm a former lawyer. I graduated in law school when I was 21, but I wasn't very sure of what to do. So I spent 1 year doing volunteer work, and I did a post-graduation. After that, I worked for a while in a small law firm in Porto Alegre, which is my hometown. And then I decided to move to São Paulo, going after a bigger salary. I came here without knowing anyone or having a job offer. I just brought my courage in a small handbag. And my plan was to stay here around 3 months and look for a job. And if I couldn't find it, I would just return to my hometown. And in less than 2 weeks, I found a job at a big law firm, in which I stayed for 6 months. And then I started to feel that unease again that I felt in Porto Alegre. I thought my job was being meaningless, and I decided to learn how to program to automate the stuff I worked with. I was like, oh, I do a lot of repetitive stuff in my daily life. So I want to find a way to make my life easier and other people's lives easier. So I started Le Wagon in the part-time bootcamp, and I fell in love with programming. And so I chose to completely change my career. And halfway through the course, I managed to get a job as a Python programmer. And since then, I've been programming in Python. And now I work in Loft, which is one of the biggest startups in Brazil and who just became a unicorn this year. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrícia. I'm wondering now if I'm forgetting about any alumni. Is there an alumni right now who would like to speak? And I forgot because I don't know everybody.
I don't know if I subscribed as alumni, but I am. So I don't know. Is there anyone else that wants to talk before me, or
who's speaking? Who's speaking?
It's Pedro. Hello, can you see me?
Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro. I'm looking at the participants list.
Put the
you have your camera,
gallery.
Yeah, I'm with the camera here, so.
You have your camera on?
Yes.
Just change to gallery mode.
Yeah,
and you can see him.
Yeah. So.
Yay, working. Thank you, Pedro. Go for it.
Cool. So my name is Pedro. I'm part of batch 64 in São Paulo. I don't know, 3 years ago, I think. So I joined Wagon for 2 reasons, actually. The first one is that I have like a few personal projects that I would like to take and needed coding, right? But the second and the most important is that I wanted to do a career shifting. I was working in banking and consulting, strategy consulting for a while, and I was kind of tired of this world. So I decided to pursue a position in product management, but I didn't have any experience with coding. Actually, I graduated in engineering, but I don't have any experience in coding, like implementation itself. So I thought it was a good idea to understand a little bit about coding in order to go for this position, right? So I did batch 64. It was an amazing experience. And so after that, I got my first position as a product manager at Udacity, which is a unicorn education company based in the US. And it was really good. I stayed there for 1.5 years, I think. And right now I work as a client solutions manager at Facebook. And I think without Wagon, I don't think I would get this position at all. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Okay, so there are already many questions on the chat, so let's go for it. The first question is from Bruno, who would like to have some tips about job hunting after graduation. So if any would like to talk about that, feel free to jump in.
I can talk if you want. I usually give a sort of a workshop for the students in the career week. I gave it on the last batch and people really liked it. So I can sure give you some tips if you want. You can call me on LinkedIn too. But what I can say to you right now maybe is focus on interviews, and people usually ask a lot of self-knowing. Autoconhecimento? Alguém me ajuda?
Knowledge.
Self-knowledge. I don't know how to say it. Well, you need to know yourself, basically. So people in the interview, they don't really care, especially for junior job roles. They don't really care if you know everything. They just want a person who is interested and who shows interest in the company also. So they're looking for a profile for, I don't know, someone who can communicate well, someone who has soft skills. And if you focus on that, you have a higher probability of finding a job than if you just focus on trying to learn everything and you end up kind of overwhelmed with so much information, you know?
Yeah. And related to that, could you answer also Patrick's question? He's saying that whenever he's like on LinkedIn looking at job posts, he always see that even for junior positions, they require, we want 2 years experience in Ruby and 3 years experience in Rails and 10 years experience in some language that was invented 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah. One thing we have to take into account is that many recruiters, especially in the technology area, they don't really know how to announce a job offer. So they just put in everything like, oh, I want someone who knows 10 different languages and has 10 years of experience on a language that that was created 2 years ago. And they don't really know what they're doing, you know? So they have the job offer, but they won't get any appliance to that job offer. So you have to think about that. And if you like the company, if you would like to work that, just apply. Just send your curriculum, send your resume, and maybe they'll look into it. Even if you don't match the requirements, you have to try.
Can I add something to that, Patrícia?
Yes,
just
please.
said?
Yes, please.
Yes, there is this part that normally HR people starts the job hunting, but when you get to the interview with your future manager or I don't know, your leader, they will know you best because they have the trouble or the problem they're trying to solve. And the important part, and saying for someone that has hired people in the past, especially developer people or people that works with developing programs and etc. You have to pay attention and know what your former background or the things you've done in the past may add to the company. Because, for example, there are many people here that come from marketing or accounting, lawyer like Patrícia, and this past experience, they have a lot of different ways to see and to solve problems, and you have to be like clever enough, not clever, it's the word, but cleverish enough to know how you can take this past experience to the new job that you're trying to get in, and you have to sell this. It's all about selling what you have and not just erasing your past, because what you've done and what you bring with you may add to the company. And when you get to the job interview, even though you don't have 2 years of, I don't know, React or whatever, you just have to, I don't know, sell the storytelling of how you can bring that to your new job, the job you want, and also how you have the skills or, I don't know, the ability to learn new things, and you have to sell it. And when you're at Wagon, that's the best way to start, because normally you've never coded before, and you finish the course like doing 2 products, and you can add it to your portfolio or something, and you have to sell this experience, like tell the story of how you engage in a whole different way of seeing things, and how you manage to bring all you know and mix with the things you've been learning, and how and where you're going to get, and what you're wanting to do, and why you think yourself is the best person to step in this job. Does that make any sense?
It does.
Good.
Thank you, Bruno.
I can also add some job hunting tips, because I've been job hunting for the last 3 months before I recently got my job. I would say
during the pandemic. Please
yes,
mention that it was during the pandemic.
Actually,
which is
makes
impressive.
it a special.
Very impressive.
Yeah, because there are no in-person interviews. It's it's a lot different. A lot of people are out of work and they're looking for work, so you have to compete with them, etc. I would say that the best thing I can say is to leverage your social network. So let all of your friends and anyone that you're acquainted with know that you're a developer and that you're looking for work. If you see a need of any of your friends who may have like that, you can develop some simple web app that may make their life easier, then not only can you put that on your resume, they can tell their friends about it, and maybe word of mouth will play a part in you getting a job. Also, I would say to answer interview questions well. If you type in front-end interview questions, you'll get an unlimited amount of them online. Find one of your friends who's a developer or a previous alumni and have them give you a mock you and become an expert in answering common questions.
Thank you, Chase.
Can I add just a point here?
Please.
So when I see like most of the interviews here, at least at Facebook, they find two components. They evaluate two components separately, right? So they do like a behavioral interview in order to check like how is your behavior, how you behave yourself inside the company. But there is also a technical component to it. So I think from the behavior section, it's very important to consider everything that you did in the past. So, I mean, how you exactly behave yourself inside the company. But for the technical interview, I didn't do a technical interview, right? So, but I talked with a lot of developers there, and they said that they focus a lot on algorithms and like data structures. I mean, they are not focused on specific like languages itself. Like they are not going to ask you like, I don't know, how to implement something in Rails, for example, or Python. They are more focused on how you structure your data structures and how you solve those questions than the language itself. So, I mean, if you want to apply for a technical position, maybe it's better to understand more, study a little bit more on this side of the interview instead of just frameworks or languages that are like they're out there, like JavaScript or Python or Rails. So that's what they told me. But again, I didn't do a technical interview, so maybe you should ask for other people here than me.
Thank you, Pedro.
To add to that, in terms of the technical interviews, the few that I did, I definitely kicked myself for not doing my flashcards more because a lot of the questions were exactly Le Wagon flashcards.
Are they listening? Students, are you listening to Tayler right now? Do your flashcards.
So like, yeah, they just wanted to definitely make sure that you have those basic understanding down. And then someone else also mentioned, yeah, leveraging your network. I think after the boot camp, I reached out to everyone, and if they knew a developer or their friend knew a developer, I asked to talk to them, and then that developer would give me different advice and show me different tools that I could learn. And then in terms of like looking for specific jobs, a lot of what I got the most response from was actually cold emailing people. Like if I saw a company I really liked or a job opening on LinkedIn, I actually didn't really apply through LinkedIn. I would like find someone in that company's personal email and just, put my name out there. And if most often than not, they would pass my resume off to HR. And then that's how I got my current job. So it's a good strategy.
Yeah, thank you, Tayler. And also just to wrap it all together, for the students, like when we have a quiz and we tell you guys, if you don't remember by heart the syntax, it's okay. Just write down the logic of it. And just as Pedro and Tayler were talking about, we just want to know that, like, if you got the logic, like we know that the syntax, you will get it by Googling it, okay? Any monkey can do that. But we want to know if you understand how the logic works. Anyone wants to add anything on this subject?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to say is getting the right answer is of importance. But I would also say that just being able to show them step by step how you are thinking through the problem effectively is just as important as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Chase. Renata had a question, and I think you guys all answered already. She was worried about like all the languages that can show up on a job post. But I think Lucas also answered on the chat. Thank you, Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Renata, if your question was not answered, feel free to ask again.
No, it was. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Me, it was not a question that was asked, but I think it is a pretty obvious question. If anyone could describe the hiring process they went through with any of the companies you got into, like what about the HR interview? What about the technical test, if you had one or not? Just for them to be prepared of what they could expect from applying for a job. Okay, what's next? You apply for the job, they get in touch with you. What's next? If anyone wants to answer.
I had two different experiences. For some jobs, for most jobs, I had a technical interview. And usually you have a first interview in which it's more a regular HR interview, usually not with the technical staff of the company, and they ask, well, this is more the standard job interview, and then I usually had a second interview with with I don't know, a manager or someone from the technical department of the company. And they usually tell you, they usually ask you to uh, to answer questions or make a test, do a test, technical test. And well, usually for backend positions, I got many APIs to build, and for front-end positions, something consuming an API or consuming data and building a screen, usually with a framework like React. I don't know, that's my experience. I don't know if other people had other experiences. And for some positions I tried, they, knowing that I was a junior, they didn't even ask me for a test. I just had an interview with, I don't know, with someone inside the company, and they liked my profile and everything, and made me a proposal based on that. But that I think is for entry-level positions. If you are trying something a little bit up, then the technical test is probably going to be something that you're going to do. But it's not, I mean, usually they leave you with a week or 2 weeks. I had a test they gave me 3 weeks to do, but it was quite hard because I had to learn a new language, Elixir, which is the one I told on my answer to Renata. It's different from Ruby. But anyway, usually you have time, and don't expect, even in the tests, sometimes they give you requirements, and they may not expect you to fill all those requirements. I had a test that I thought I did really bad because I didn't, I don't know, one of the requirements I didn't meet. And in the end, the guy said, oh, your test was one of the best we had, and we're going to make you a proposal and everything. So sometimes they are really trying to push you, but not exactly want that requirement to be met, or for everyone to meet, depending on the position. Of course, if you're a senior, things are going to be different probably, but that's not my case yet.
Soon. Thank you, Lucas. Does anyone else wants to share their hiring process experience, technical test, whiteboard test, sometimes personality test?
Yeah, I guess in a company in Rio, I did a whiteboard test I was super nervous about because I just like heard about it and thought it would be so scary. And I think because, you know, it was a junior position, they were really nice about it and patient. And again, like a lot of people have said, they didn't expect me to know everything, just wanted to see my thought process. And they let me choose what language I wanted to like solve a question on how to like split a query, like a paragraph, and then combine it again, and like things like that, or how to do a data structure. So it was like, yeah, it was an interview with HR, interview with the developers for personality, and then the whiteboard test. And then for another company, it was interview with the developers, and then they asked me to recreate one of their websites as like a take-home test. And then others were just like an online test that like I actually did not pass them. And my current job was also, it was like everything was like it was so bizarre. We had one interview, they saw my portfolio, and then I didn't hear from them for 3 weeks, and then they offered me the job, and I was like, is this a real company? I was just so confused, but I took it and it's worked out. So I don't know, it was like up and down the process.
That sounds like a big imposter syndrome of a talented girl who doesn't realize that she deserves this position.
I was like, are you sure you don't want to test me on anything?
Yes, they were sure, Tayler, you deserved it.
I later learned it's because my boss is like super informal. He generally doesn't like believe in the test. He thinks that, you know, if you're a smart person, you can learn on the job, and I appreciate that. So
you're a smart person. Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone wants to share anything else?
Yeah, so for me, I recently got a product manager role, and I would say, again, more than anything, practice makes perfect in every area. So the more interview questions and the more fluidly you can answer them, the better off you'll be. I had 2 rounds of interviews, and actually I didn't know that much about product management before I took these interviews. But as soon as they told me it was going to be scheduled in like 2 days, I think I bought a course on Udemy about product management and watched it at 2 times speed and like downloaded every PDF they had and learned every term. So when they asked me about velocity and deliverables for a project or a product, I was able to say it and say the jargon, even though I didn't technically have any experience or really know what I was talking about to the full capacity. So I would say, you know, sometimes you just have to wing it, but at least try to make sure you're talking about and be confident when you're answering, for sure.
That's a great example, again, of taking your past as a marketing, business, humanities student, taking your coding skills and just wing it. It's working. Awesome. Thank you. There's a great question from Patrick asking what other languages are similar enough that you can apply to a job that requires them? Anyone?
Python.
Python, yeah, Python for sure. Elixir
Python.
Somehow.
And Elixir
No,
is
no.
personal experience.
I think,
go for it.
Whatever language, I mean, you see, I mean, you're going to have to take a look and spend some time digging into it, because I don't think there's anything that, you know, with your Ruby background, you're gonna approach any other language, and it's gonna come a lot faster, that second language, than Ruby was, just because, you know, everything's gonna have a loop, and there's gonna be strings, and there's gonna be arrays, and there's gonna be some integers. So I mean, once you got one language down, maybe after a coffee fueled weekend, you can get up to speed on some other languages, you know, pretty quickly.
Awesome.
It's just that the syntax in Python is similar to Ruby, so I think it makes even more easy to learn. For example, C# is it's an object-oriented programming language, but the syntax is different. So the first time I looked at the code, I was like, oh, this is. But in the end, I could get it pretty quickly. As I said, I think that once you get the logic, everything becomes not easy, but more simpler.
I'd say it's not a language, but it's like a skill, because many companies struggle with like continuous delivering. We have to build like this huge team of DevOps, and it's very, very difficult to find people that know the process and have the skills to do it. So normally we have to like train people inside the company to work in that position. So for people that like or enjoy, I don't know, automation and deploying and this kind of, I would say this kind of shit, sorry, this kind of thing, DevOps is like, there is this huge opportunity on the market, and a lot of companies here in Brazil and outside, like America and other countries, are looking the hell out of this kind of professionals. So it's not a language, it's more like a skill. So if you like it, there is this huge opportunity for you to check out.
Thank you, Bruno. What I really like in all your stories is that we always come back to the same skills, like problem solving, adaptability. Just wing it, like fake it until you make it. You go there, you are comfortable with the idea of like, you have to learn a new language in 3 days. It's okay, just get familiar with it. You will learn it on the job. And I feel like it's a common ground that's in all your stories. I'm really loving that. There's a great, does someone want to say something?
I would like to ask a question. Can I do that, or?
Can you put it in the chat just for me to organize all the questions?
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, go back.
Sorry, my internet went down. Now I'm back. No, I just wanted to say about big companies and small startups difference, because when you try to start in the development world, you usually go for the small companies, right? Because they're kind of easier to get in. And there's a bit of a difference in the way they recruit people too. Small companies, they usually don't make that much of a process of recruitment. They just they talk to you, they like you, they hire you, you know. They sometimes give you a test, they'll give you like 1 week to finish it. But big companies, they have a lot of people trying to get in, so they need to make it a process of recruitment so that they can filter who actually knows what they're doing and who's just I don't know, I just want to work at Google, but I don't really know what I'm doing. And they usually ask from some stuff like algorithms. They have these whiteboard interviews, and you usually don't actually apply these skills on the daily job. You just need to know it because you need to pass on the interview, you know. And if you Google like interview for Google, you'll see a lot of videos of people explaining how the process is, and it's really interesting. But you don't really use that skills anywhere in your career generally, but they'll do it anyway.
Thank you, Patrícia. Now I'm going to move on to Marco's question. So if any of the alumni have any advice for our future graduates, like what should they do after the bootcamp? Like, should they go back to do their flashcards? Should they focus on building a portfolio? Should they study? Should they apply for jobs? Like, what would you advise them right after the bootcamp?
I can answer that. So
Diogo.
Hi, my name is Diogo. So what I did and what I think is good to do after the bootcamp, first of things is to not stop. So by saying that, I mean like keep moving, keep doing your project. So portfolio is a huge thing. I met a lot of people that got hired without portfolio. So it's not a must, but it's a good way to go. I can tell the way the company that hired me, I was on the final stage of the interview. I saw which all were the other people who are being interviewed as well. And all of them, they had more experience than I, but the GitHub and my portfolio, was way better than theirs. And that's why I got hired. People was coding for more than 2 years. I could see how much they spent on GitHub and so on, but the portfolio was really so-so. And since I have a good portfolio, that's really make a difference for me. So keep going, keeping working on portfolio. And if you can get a freelance job, is all right. People will, it's just like a project that you've been doing, but now you're gonna be paid off it. So it's very good. So portfolio is a must for me. It's not like it's a very good way to go. Another thing, I think you already covered this, but it's like try to always be in a couple of interview process. What I mean by that, because if you only only choose this company and another company over there, maybe sometimes you only will have one interview per month, one interview in 2 weeks. And eventually you get so stressed because you're gonna feel like, oh, that's the only shot that I got. right? So don't do as much to have like 8 companies that you don't prepare yourself, but try to keep it in a flow that you feel comfortable, because interview is a part of life, right? And after some, you're gonna feel way more easy, you're gonna feel more relaxed to do it properly. So if I bullet points, portfolio, yeah, you should do it. Keep doing stuffs and try to keep a certain amount of CVs out there, right? The other thing that's what is happening to me, because now I'm coding Rails, and some things that I noticed is the last class of the bootcamp is really good, right? So jobs, all of that. If you're gonna work on Rails, I would advise you at least take a look at it again, all right? Because you probably is not required to get in the job, but after you are in the job, you're probably gonna be doing stuff like that, right? Setting an admin, doing something like that. So it's good to take a look at it. So that's it.
Thank you, Diogo. Anyone has any other advice for our graduates after the bootcamp?
Definitely be on your job search hunt. But I think at the time, like while I was, looking for a job, I interned at a company in Rio, which was super helpful as well to just like be making sure I was constantly like coding and learning and making connections. And so yeah, don't be afraid to get an internship too. Start somewhere, and the people you met at your internship could help lead you to a job as well.
Totally.
Take care of your LinkedIn.
Good. We're going to have a
And,
LinkedIn class at the end.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I think
I got a private question, which I think it was meant to be public, maybe.
Okay.
Pedro said, how did you prepare for technical interviews? Did you have any prep courses for it or study it for yourselves? So I can answer it for my case. I got hired to work in a company with Python without knowing Python. So that's why I say to you that language doesn't matter. And I've saw it happen more than once. At my current job, one of the senior developers that was hired, he was hired to work with Python without knowing Python too. So you don't really need to know before you get in a job, but you can learn, I didn't study, like I didn't do any prep course, but I did study a little bit at home, and I learn as I need to in my job, like, oh, you have to do this. So I'll learn how to do it in order to finish my task. And that's how I went.
Thank you. So just coming back, Lucas, you were talking.
No, I was just saying that for me, being active and having a polished LinkedIn profile was good. And I don't know, reaching all the people to make sure, I don't know, if anyone that has a position open in the company they work for or something like this, to make sure they give you a heads up. Yeah. So having contacts is good, but well, this is not really new.
It's funny you say that, because we have a story. So like, update your LinkedIn, guys, but we have a story of a student. So by the end of the bootcamp, we will send you a beautiful certificate. And the student just posted it on LinkedIn, like saying like, hey guys, I'm a developer now, and he received a job offer based on that LinkedIn post. So it's important to put it out there, like not only like to your friends and family, but also digitally on LinkedIn, on Angel List, that kind of website. Anyone has anything to add?
Just a fun fact. I posted mine and I got a job offer for a developer position. And I said, no, sorry, but I can, I can send people that wants developing jobs, but no, I'm not looking for it. So it was posted on.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you for highlighting that, because like I have so many stories that I think sometimes students are like, she's inventing. she's inventing like just urban legends, you know. It's true, guys. They are not urban legends. They are all in front of you right now. Anyone has any other advice?
It was already mentioned, but you know, someone said to keep on working on stuff. I thought it was pretty helpful. I made some small side projects, and even if they're not that, as long as you put something together and you put it online, it gives you something to talk to recruiters or to your interviewer. So I thought they were pretty beneficial, and it's just nice to have something to kind of build out and keep those skills going.
Awesome. I agree.
Yeah,
So
I would say, oh, sorry, good.
No, go. Please go.
I was gonna say, yeah, just make sure that everybody social circle knows that you're a developer looking for work. Also, I would say, yeah, keep learning. I kept going with JavaScript just because it's at the root of so many different languages like React and Vue. There are many commonalities. And I would say build a portfolio, great advice. Like as soon as you have a polished portfolio that's mobile friendly, post it on LinkedIn and say, hey, I built a portfolio. Everybody come look and check out my projects. I consistently post on LinkedIn, like every little application that you build, and eventually you'll hopefully attract some attention.
Awesome. Thank you, Chase. So just to conclude, because I know so many students ask me that, you cannot go back to building the orange tree, okay? You cannot go back to Ruby first week or to Blackjack or to Mr. Cocktail, okay? Like all these projects that you've been doing, you cannot go back to this. You have to be building a Rails app. You have to be practicing learning new languages, okay? And going out there. I think we're good for the job part. There was a question from Patrick about remote jobs, and this is specifically for students, like Brazilian students who found a job working for American company or EU company, or even Steven in Europe also. So Lucas, Raquel, like who lives in Brazil and found a job working for the US. How did you find this job? How hard is it to find this kind of job? And yeah, basically like tell us about it.
Can I start?
Yeah.
So this opportunity I found on Facebook group, believe it or not. So I sent an email with my resume, and they answered me to have an interview. So it is 100% remote, and for me the worst part is not having like work colleagues, like to chat or get like my answers with like quick questions just to show them what I am doing, see what they're thinking about that. So this is the hard part, but it's very cool to have like my Google agenda with a lot of meetings, like to sync information of the project, and also like daily Scrum meetings. So every morning I have a meeting, like a 15 minutes meeting with all the devs in the company to check the status of their tasks. So it's very cool to work in this different, and it's very flexible work time. So sometimes I work until, I don't know, 10 because I want, 10 p.m. because I want, and don't work during my afternoon. So it's very flexible, and I am enjoying it a lot. So that's my experience.
Thank you, Raquel. There's also Lucas, Brazilian, who found some freelance job working for a US company. Would like to speak about how you found a job and how it.
For me, it was a little bit different, I think, than Raquel's experience, because I wasn't actively looking for a job abroad. I mean, I think it is a goal, but it was something that I was thinking more that it would happen in the future. But I got to know a guy that has a company in the US, and he was looking for Brazilian developers. He wanted to hire people in Brazil, especially because of this time zone thing that we talked about. And I was available during that time, and we had an interview, had a technical test, and I ended up being hired. And the thing is, I am a contractor there, so I get tasks and get paid for the tasks I finish. So it's a little bit different than Raquel. It's even more flexible, but uh, so I can choose what I want to work on, and when and everything. So it's been good for me, and I like it. But I think that this thing of working for a company abroad, like full time, because I'm working for a Brazilian company too. It's something that I want as a future step in my career.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. I'd like to ask Steven, how did you manage to work in Europe as a foreign person? How did you find your jobs and how did you apply?
Yeah, it was part illegally. Actually, so when
No, this is recorded. We cannot mention that.
Okay. It was completely above board. No, so I first came to Berlin working with a group of freelancers, and I got that job through Wagon, through the freelancers Slack channel. Someone was looking for a backend developer. I interviewed with them, and we clicked pretty well. There was no technical test. And so that's just how I got my foot in the door. I came to Germany on a tourist visa, and because it was kind of just a freelance opportunity, I worked with them while I was there on my tourist visa. And then while here in Berlin, I was able to interview with some companies, and then I was able to convert that tourist visa into a resident visa when that company sponsored me. Through my latest round of interviews, I exclusively used LinkedIn, and I found quite a few companies that are open to remote work on LinkedIn as well. So, I mean, if it's something that you're after, I think especially now with COVID going around, there's definitely some positions, a lot more positions than usual that offer it. And also the hardest part, if you want to go more of a freelance route, getting your first kind of contract is it's kind of the most difficult. But then after that, and what happened in my case was the guys that I worked with, we really kind of got along together. And after we finished that one project, one of the guys who did the front end section, he had another contract after that, and he enjoyed working with me. So he invited me to help him on that next project. So, I mean, just trying to get that first one would most likely lead, it would grow your network and lead to additional work.
Awesome. That's great advice. I'd like to take the reverse case now and ask Tayler if she can give our gringo students some advice on how to find job opportunities in Brazil. Because I know that we have some students in this case in the current batch.
I mean, I'm not exactly a success case because I was trying so hard and it didn't work.
You found an internship.
But I can tell you what it was like.
You can warn them. You can warn them that they have to learn Portuguese for sure.
Yeah, one warning was I went through the entire interview process. They, all the interviews, the whiteboard test, and then they offered me the job. And then they were like, so you'll get a visa, right? I was like, no, I need you to give me the visa. And I don't think they realized
Brazil.
That. So then they just it just couldn't work out because they're like, oh no, we can't do that. I was like, oh, okay, great, thank you. But towards the end, I was eventually able to find certain companies that before I interviewed, I said can you sponsor a visa? They said yes. But then I think at that point, after so many hits and misses, I had already got the job offer in LA, so I just had to take it.
No, it's great advice. I mean, imagine they're not going to waste their time. They're going to ask right away. Do you know that you have to be the one giving me the visa?
Yeah, so definitely verify that ahead of time before you do so much work. And then I did interview and get a job offer from a company in Argentina, but that also they were going to help with the visa, but it also just seemed like a very long and complicated process that it just didn't, yeah, it's a hard for any, yeah, for anyone getting a visa, like through jobs, it's really hard. It's not for the faint of heart. Yeah, so.
This I can be a testimonial of that. It took me 9 months to get my Brazilian visa, and a lot of money, a lot of tears, and it happened in the end, but it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
We have another great question from Marco, asking, how do you find your first freelance jobs? How do you find your first client? And how do you make sure they pay you? Good question. Who would like to jump on that question?
Can you repeat it one more time?
How did you find your first freelance jobs?
I can answer that. I don't have that many freelancers, but I have 2. And the one was a partnership, so I wasn't really being paid. But another one, I made some money. So actually, people from Le Wagon, they actually, that's why it's good to connect, right? So one of the old teachers kind of like, oh, I have a student that's good for this project. So that's why it's good to connect. So I got recommended. So I worked with a guy from Belo Horizonte on his project. It was super cool. Freelance jobs on the network of Le Wagon has plenty of them. So, and now I'm gonna talk a little bit like how you set yourself, how much you're gonna charge for your service. At the beginning, it's hard because sometimes maybe your first time you're gonna demand to do a small service, right, for someone. And the fact is, like, you can charge a lot, pretty much it. I charge a little bit. I cannot say how much I charge, but I charge way less than I could have charged. And you can, like, if you work in Brazil, you can do the Simples and the MEI, and then you pay a small amount of tax, right? But if you're a friend or something, you don't really need to have a full contract. You can work just like in the verbal contract. That's even better because you don't pay tax. So all the teachers of Le Wagon, they told me that it was good to charge how much you wanna win in a month, and then you use like make the calculations. You're gonna work 8 hours a day, and plus it how you charge it, right? But the fact is that you won't work 8 hours a day for a month. Like sometimes the project just takes half a month, or like, and even on that you had so many risks at the time. Like, so if you're gonna see how much the people charge for an hour, being a freelancer, they usually charge even higher than what you'd expect by winning from a regular job. So keep that in mind, right? So of course, if it's a friend of yours, you're not gonna ask him for a lever, right, for working for him. But if you feel like if it's a good amount, average company, you can charge a lot, yeah. And the fact is, freelance is good because freelance is good. Even if you don't like see yourself doing freelance for a long time, freelance is good for CV, right? Because some freelancers you can ask to put on your job working from them as your CV, which is good. And usually the interviews loves someone that's already have a paid job, right? Because the competition is about this. Like a lot of people going out of university, a lot of people going out of another boot camp, and now you're going out of the best boot camp, and you are being paid for projects, real projects. Like that's super good. Like you straight away you're gonna be on the top of the competitors for that spot or from that job. So keep in mind, like oh, I really don't want to work with freelance. But if you have a freelance opportunity, if someone invites you to do a freelance, do it. If someone invites you to do a free job and I have an opportunity to work like in a job in São Paulo and it's free, you take it. Like probably gonna be like paid off of it. But if you say to the interviewer, like, oh, I already have my project, I already have worked with people from another city in a collective project, I've already been paid of a project I'm already receiving from companies. Wow, that's a good CV right there. You're good to go. So keep in mind, like all the box is good to fill. And those boxes is good because in a way you get an experience and you see yourself if you like this kind of job, like routine or not, if you like, if you, even if just to confirm to you that you need a regular job or to confirm to you that you cannot go to regular job, you need to be a free spirit, just do it. So that's it.
Thank you, Diogo. Be open-minded, be a go-getter, talk to the universe, it will come back to you. So much good vibes. Does anyone else wants to answer on how you can get your first freelance job? And as Steven was saying, like the first one is the hardest and then it just come organically, right?
Yeah, I would say I did a couple freelance jobs while I was doing my job search and mostly got them through friends who worked in software. So I'm a big proponent of leveraging your network. You know, they were both, it wasn't big projects. It was just editing little things, whether it was with Bootstrap or some HTML and JavaScript stuff. Both of them were simple, got maybe like a couple $100 for each of them. But the best part about it is if you can tell a story about those during your interviews, then it'll really give you a leg up. Like for example, I made the front end of my friend's website mobile friendly, and he was contracting with an international data company based in South Africa, right? So I can say I built the front end of an international company's website. They're based overseas and like it's corporation. So that automatically makes me look great, right, in an interview. Even though it wasn't like, even though I'm not an expert by any means on the front end, but I would say that it gives me enough experience. It allows me to have enough experience in my portfolio to leverage it and look really good to the people that are interviewing me. So yeah, I'll advocate with Diogo and say that take anything you can get. Like whether your first freelance job is paid or not, take it. Like what better do you have to do? What are you doing? Like you can submit job up and then a free freelance job that gives you experience comes along, do it. Like by not doing it, what are you gaining? And by not doing it, what are you losing? Right. So like just take any opportunity that comes your way.
Awesome. Thank you, Chase. Anyone would like to add anything on the subject of finding your first freelance contracts?
I found mine off of Upwork, the website, Upwork.
I love Upwork.
Super easy.
Patrícia was nice enough to send the link of Upwork on the chat. I will send it again here. So it's a great website where you can find freelances for like any kind of job, with like not just developing, but like translation. Like I've made a lot of money on this with translation. You can make a lot of money on this with developing. So please use it, sign up. It's free and you can receive contracts directly. Any other advice? No? Do you have any other question? So guys, now we're not so much people. So if you want to unmute yourself and speak directly to someone, if you have a precise question for a precise student, now that you know them much better, feel free to do so, okay? Or you can use the chat if you're shy. Or we can exchange jokes and anecdotes.
It's so hard with the video. How has it been for you all doing the boot camp like this?
No, it's reverse alumni night. Like we ask
Yeah, I have questions.
I have questions for the students. How do you do it? Well, I think Diogo, another alumni, can answer you because he did it. It was like our first bootcamp, fully remote, start to the end. I think this one will be presential by the end, we hope.
Yeah.
We hope with a lot of restrictions, everybody will be wearing a mask and nobody is around me, please, because I will be going to Europe and I have to pass the COVID test, okay? But yeah, Diogo, if you want to answer and perhaps give tips to the current students who are doing it remotely on how to make the best of it.
Yeah, so those students are already on the final weeks, right? Or not?
They are right now on JavaScript week. Imagine.
All right. So if you don't notice by now how important is the tickets, now I'm telling you, tickets is one of the most important things of Le Wagon's bootcamp, for real. Like when I did like a couple of months ago, and I did the remote as well. Few people would open the tickets, and like always people would ask me, "Oh, Joe, how are you doing so great at bootcamp?" And the trick was I was open tickets, like 10 minutes in the problem, and then I will open a ticket. And real life's not like that. Like real life, you really need to go and search the documentation, the Stack Overflow. So enjoy now while you can. You have a great teachers. All the teachers already did everything you can imagine about this subject. So just go and make a question. That's a great way to go. So when you open tickets, you will notice that you be doing more stuff in the last time. So that's super good. Like I'm telling you this because when I did, some people only understand how important it was on the final weeks. And the final weeks was really awful to open a ticket because everyone was open a ticket. But like just before that was super good. And like by 11 o'clock, I would be already be on my third ticket. That's how much tickets I would open. So keep that in mind. And being remote is not like being presential, and because it's not like you're just here with the person and say, "Hey, can you stop everything you're doing to come and help me?" Even on the table, I don't know if everyone does that, but sometimes when I was really into the zone, I would mute my friends. So sometimes I couldn't help my friends who was with me. So that's why it's important to open tickets, to use the chat, to ask stuff. So presential and remote is kind of super different. And now the job market is remote, like most of the place. Even now I have to go to the office once a week, but it's basically remote. And we always had this challenge about being remote, like how, because you don't have a person right next to you, how you start to bother and then at the WhatsApp asking questions. So Le Wagons are preparing you to the real world out there, right? So be in mind, like even if remote home office stuff like now is super boring, that's how you're gonna go enter the market. Yeah, even 1 year from now, maybe it's over, but we don't know it. Now we know it is what it is, and that's a good way to prepare yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, I on what you just said, I fully agree that when you're going to apply to position, and whether they're remote or starting remote because of the pandemic, it's going to be a big advantage for you to tell to the hiring person that you've been learning programming remotely from the start. Like you've been doing Le Wagon remotely. So it's actually already like a real life experience that you're going to be doing then on your job. So I think you can make it an advantage of yours. Anyone has any other question for the alumni, for the students, for me, about the bootcamp, about life, love, Happiness.
Can I add just one point about freelancing?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I didn't do a freelancing. That's why I didn't say anything. But I worked at Udacity, as I mentioned before, as a product manager, and there we have like a program for mentors. I mean, the point is, whenever you buy a course from Udacity, you have a lot of projects that you have to do, and those projects are corrected by real people. Like people is kind of a Uber for teachers, right? So I mean, if you are interested, you can apply to become a mentor there. So I'm putting a link here. So, I mean, if you are, I don't know, interested in teaching, for example, full stack, you can become a mentor there and actually correct those students or those projects for the people that join Udacity. So just a tip. I think it's so moved.
Indeed. I'm still like 6 months of remote work. I still can't wrap my head around this Zoom thing. Too much technology for me. I was telling you, thank you. And it's a great tip indeed. Anyone would like to add anything, advice, question? Students, feel free to take the mic and ask a precise question to someone.
I had a question.
Go
So
for it.
I'm not a current student. I'm actually a prospective student. I was just wondering if you give any advice about maybe networking to the tech world, like prior to the boot camp. Like, is that something you would recommend, and how would you go about it?
Who would like to answer?
Before I did the boot camp, I went to a lot of meetups. So I was in Dallas, Texas at the time. But I started going to a Ruby meetup once I decided on Wagon. And it's just a really good way to meet some developers. For me, I didn't actually return to the area, so it wasn't too helpful after the boot camp. But even now, I still go to meetups. I think it's just a great way to kind of stay, I guess, in the developer community, and it's a good way to network, and I highly recommend it. And usually there's food and beer, so it's a win-win.
Thank you.
Anyone would like to add anything to answer to Rowan?
I agree. I went to a lot of meetups at Wagon before choose Wagon, and it was very important, very good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I also would like to say that although I am like working in a full-time job, I like my idea of my pitch that I did for Wagon. The project is still live, so we are still coding together with the same team that I met in Wagon. So it's also good to know that you can do like both way. You can start up and working in your own project, and also work as a full-time developer, like in the same time. So it's nice. So the Jolly, the project, is waiting for finance. How can I say, Len? It's like a finance program. And
isn't it an incubator?
It is kind of incubator too, yes. So the results will be tomorrow, and I'll let you know too. Yes, let's
Oh my
see.
God. Okay, everybody sends good vibes to Raquel and her Wagon project to be financed tomorrow by an incubator. That's awesome. I didn't know that you guys were continuing until today. That's awesome. Everybody's on board? Everybody from the team is on board?
Ramon is not.
Okay.
Just one left, yes, but
he's too busy traveling around.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. So good. Tell us, okay? You send it on the group. You send us the answer.
How do incubators work? Like getting your project in and things like that.
I love that Tayler is like reversing the alumni night. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
This is useful information for
everyone.
I
love it. I love it. Go for it, Raquel.
So what I did is they have like form that you have to complete with all the business plan that you have in mind, and they will choose for it. So it was hard to work on the business plan actually, and also you have to have MVP that it's what was already done during Levagon, so it was good because of that also. And it's like it's not a competition, but they will evaluate your idea and then they can choose for your project. And this one is to receive 60,000 reais.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
So it is good. So let's see, and you have to like say to them like, where will you invest this money? So it will be for development, it will be for hire someone. So we have to describe everything, and let's see. The name is Startup Rio. It's a program from Rio de Janeiro state. So let's see how it works.
A really good program. Awesome. So we'll be all thinking about you and sending you good vibes. Guys, it's already been 1 hour 30 that we started. So I just would like to ask one last question and then I will let you off. So as you can know, like the São Paulo students are right now on the Rails week, the Rio students are right now on JavaScript week. So as you know, a lot of work is ahead of them. What would be your advice for them for these last weeks of bootcamp? So they already all have a project, they have a team. According to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, like the best part of the bootcamp is ahead of them, right? The projects, Rails, take over.
Well, the tip is you're gonna bump your heads, right? Like you're gonna see a lot of groups fight with each other. Like it's common, like you don't need to fight, but like sometimes you're not gonna see like exactly what the other person is telling, and that's part of like how to negotiate and to compromise, and just be like, don't put so much stress on you. Just like keep the flow, right? Just go with the flow. You're gonna you all have the tools and the base to do amazing stuff. So just sit down and code, and eventually you're gonna see a final project.
Any other advice?
I can say to trust your teammates, because one big mistake I made when I was doing my project, I did the marketplace. So my project was the marketplace, and my colleague's project was the final project. And when it was my project, I just tried to take everything for myself, and I tried to coordinate, I tried to code, I tried to make the design, and it just didn't work out. So don't try to do everything for yourselves, and trust your teammates, because they will help too.
Awesome. Great advice. Anything else?
My advice is just to try everything instead of overthinking of what is happening. Whenever you bump up in something, don't try to analyze everything, just try different methods. I think it's faster, at least for me, it was faster than try to overthink to come up with the problem itself and the solution.
Awesome.
I would say try to communicate your problems and what you're looking for as expertly as possible, because the more specific you are about what you're looking for, the more specific the result will be, and the less confusion there will be.
Awesome.
I'd say plan before you act, because during my project we had a problem that I think our first days were not as good in terms of planning which features we would like to have and everything, and it became a problem that consumed not a lot, but some of our time. And I think planning and thinking everything is important.
Awesome. I like that all your advice are soft skills related and not so much about coding. And so like all the students right now are like freaking out about the code. And I'm like, guys, you have no idea. The problem is not going to be the code. It's going to be working with other people. That will be the big challenge and the big learning experience of Le Wagon, because it's going to prepare you to be working with designers or product managers, with senior people like the teachers. Anything else?
Just don't be afraid to stop and plan again, right? Because when I was doing, our group was slacking behind, like, because we had a very complex project and we are slacking behind compared to others. And eventually, like, we all did a great job, but in the middle of the journey, we stopped, and we are, even we were late, we stopped and we replan and put the tools in place, what we would approach, how to do. So don't be afraid to stop and like, let's 10 minutes meeting to bring everyone together so we can replan, right? Replan is always good. Like, you don't need to spend hours like and write all these weird schemas, but 10 minutes reunion is always good. Don't be afraid of it.
Awesome. And just as a reminder, Diogo did a remote bootcamp also. So please take his advice seriously. Any other advice?
All the issues you run into. I mean, it's the same stuff that you're going to face on your first job and all your developer jobs after that. So actually, I use the experience to answer some of those soft skills questions in interviews. I use some of the experiences from the bootcamp project. So yeah, just enjoy it. Yeah, have fun.
Have fun. That's a great way for me to wrap up this alumni night. Have fun, learn, grow, collaborate, learn from each other. And I just wanted to take 1 minute to thank all the alumni who are here today. The only reason why the community is strong and beautiful is thanks to you guys. Thanks for coming and taking some of your time to come and help the students. I think you have a lot of compassion towards the current students who are going for JavaScript. You can feel the pain. Thank you so much. And yeah, again, like to the current students right now, they're always available, okay? Not just today. Like when I message them about something, they always help me. So please do the same. Thank you so much, guys. And you are all invited for their demo days. So there are different days for Rio and São Paulo, but it will be online. So if you want to see what your Padawan would have developed in just 2 weeks, please come, okay? Thank you, guys. Any last words?
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm
guys.
so happy.
Thank you.
I haven't seen some of you since so much.
Goodbye, guys.
Saudade. Beijão, beijão.
Beijo.
Thank you, guys. And again, just reminding that this was recorded and it will be available on YouTube. Bam, surprise. Surprise, guys. Everything is recorded. And I will come back to you with extracts of what you said. Thank you, guys. With my famous Romero Brito painting. Did you miss it, Diogo? You've seen it for the whole...
But did you saw the confusion they had with Romero Brito?
I heard it was something, but... Okay, yeah. Wait, let me stop the live.